For most of the NFL, the season ends tomorrow, but not for your Denver Broncos because Sean Payton just called his shot and he proved and brought words to the feeling that we have had all year long that this team is different and that we are nowhere close to seeing the end of this iteration of the Denver Broncos. If you're new to this channel, I'm a diehard Denver Broncos fan named Ben. Helps me in the YouTube algorithm out a ton. If you like the Broncos, if you would like and subscribe. But before we dive into Sean Payton's statement that when I saw it on my timeline last night, I paused my wife's TV show and was like, watch this, babe. Like, this is wild. And she even was like, dang, coaches don't usually say that, do they? I'm like, no, this is different. This is totally different. So who is like the most special Broncos team you can remember watching as a fan? Maybe it was hearing, like maybe you're a newer fan and it was hearing about the speech before the Carolina Panthers, Denver Broncos Super Bowl where the Broncos were underdogs going against Cam Newton. And you heard about the Peyton Manning speech and the DeMarcus Ware speech and just the deep belief that team had. Maybe it was the Tebow era and the Mile High Magic where dudes just like believed that Tebow was going to find a way to get there. Maybe it was like me, the first Broncos team I ever fell in love with was the 1997 team that made it to the Super Bowl as a wild card team. And you see John Elway take down the big favorite in the Green Bay Packers. And you just sense that belief that that team had. And after the fact, you heard all the players come and be like, yeah, things were different in that locker room. We were a band of brothers. We believed in each other and things were different. Well, Sean Payton came out and said that exact same thing yesterday in a press conference in a way that was just absolutely wild. We're going to watch that clip and then kind of dissect why he's feeling that way and what that means for the future of the Broncos, like not only tomorrow, but in the playoffs and beyond.
Every year you take a team photo, and today they handed them out. And I've been places where you never knew where the team photo went. My first year of playing, I was 8 years old. This is your 52nd. Just part of a football team. I would say my mom kept scrapbooks, but I know where about 5 are. And I told these guys today, make sure this is one we know where this photo is. It's been a tight-knit team. And so, we've had adversity like every team during the stretch of the season. We've had success. We've had, and here it is. Let's make sure this is a photo that we look back on and we know where that's at.
Let's make sure that's a photo where you know it is and you know where it's at. Sean Payton has been in team photos for 52 years. He said, I don't know where half of those pictures are. My mom probably has them in scrapbooks, but this is a picture you are going to want to hang on to because this team is different. He came out from the start of the season and he told us how different that team was, and the national media didn't believe him. Even some people locally didn't believe him. Sean knows things are different in Denver, and I can't help but think of one of my favorite scenes in The Office when Andy Bernard comes out and is like, I wish there was a way to know that you were in the good old days before they were over. Y'all, we are in the good old days right now with this squad. We have a defensive player of the year candidate. We have a rookie of the year candidate. We have Courtland Sutton to break 1,000 yards receiving. We are playing complementary football. We have won games on the East Coast and on the West Coast. We've won 4 away games. We've won as underdogs. We've won the games we're supposed to win. This Denver Broncos team is different, and hearing Sean Payton talk yesterday, it is not like a coach who is expecting to lose to a bunch of backups tomorrow. You don't come out and say that kind of thing if you think there's any world in which you lose tomorrow's game. In any world in which you think that you could come out and lay a stinker or look past this team, Sean Payton knows this team is different, and I think the Denver Broncos would line up extremely well against the Kansas City Chiefs if the Chiefs were full strength, and they are hardly full strength. The list of players that they are resting is growing bigger and bigger by the hour, and that is just a fantastic thing. I think the Kansas City Chiefs are sleeping on us, and I think they will regret letting us into the playoffs when we beat the Buffalo Bills the following week. You are looking at them missing their best offensive and defensive players, and really like their first and second and third best offensive and defensive players. So I love the idea that we are going up against the Kansas City Chiefs without Chris Jones and without Trent McDuffie. You were talking about 2 defenders that you want nothing to do with. And then obviously without Travis Kelce, without Patrick Mahomes, without their best running back, without their left tackle, we are in very, very good shape. We got to be so excited about that, guys. It truly gives me goosebumps for how wild this is and how wild could this be. I know it's easy to look at the Kansas City Chiefs and be like, oh, they're about to three-peat. We lost to them by a blocked field goal at the last second. Like, we can hang there in this game tomorrow and in the playoffs with anybody. We went and beat the Buffalo Bills last year on the road with a much worse team. We have not seen the sky or the ceiling for this team yet, and do not look past us. Like, I think of all of these teams. I was just watching Aaron Rodgers' Enigma show and just seeing like the Green Bay Packers team that won in 2010 was not his most talented team that he had, but it was a team that had a deep level of belief and went in and won the Super Bowl. Even like looking at a 40-year-old Tom Brady taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to the Super Bowl. Like, this is why that quote that I've talked about all year long, that culture eats strategy for breakfast. And it does. That, like, you add up the sum of all of our parts, and sure, the Kansas City Chiefs or the Buffalo Bills are better than us, but we as a culture have a winning culture, a bunch of guys who love playing together, and that is a dangerous recipe to have. And that's all I'll say. I don't expect to lose tomorrow. I expect to win tomorrow, and I expect to be more than competitive the following Sunday in Buffalo. And watch out, you guys, because we've seen this team go on 4-game, 5-game win streaks. It's going to happen again, and we hit another 4-game win streak. We're talking about the Denver Broncos playing in New Orleans in a Super Bowl, and you just can't write it up any better than that. Other cool thing I expect to see tomorrow is that Sean Payton, for all the people out there that throw Sean Payton under the bus and say he's like an authoritarian and players don't like him, we know that he has squashed that multiple times. There are 17 former players or coaches who are in New Orleans who've come with him because he is a player magnet. Players love him. I remember listening to an interview with Patrick Surtain when all of a sudden he like jumped up like a schoolboy and ran out of the locker room because Sean Payton got brand new Jordan shoes for all the defenders, and like, he was stoked. Like, he is a player's coach and an authoritarian and a culture setter. It's an incredible thread to or needle to thread, and he is doing it each and every day. One of the reasons that proves that he is a player's coach is that he will go out and help players earn incentives that actually cost the Denver Broncos money. And so you saw that with Emmanuel Sanders, who needed a certain number of catches to get his bonus. He needed 8 catches to get his bonus, and Sean Payton schemed it in a way that Emmanuel Sanders didn't just get 8. He went out and got 9. Amazing. And so I expect the Broncos to see that very same thing tomorrow, as Courtland Sutton needs 82 yards to hit his almost $500,000 bonus. And so I expect Courtland Sutton to get well over 100 yards tomorrow because Sean Payton is a player's coach. That's why, this young and hungry team, they love their coach. They love each other. It's just an incredible sight to behold. And I think we should all be insanely stoked for that. It would take a 30-minute YouTube video to name all of the things that the Broncos have done this year that have been broken the norm and shown how different it is, from trick-or-treating photos where they're like trick-or-treating together to wearing matching pajamas with the whole quarterback room and their wives, to having Alex Singleton go to a road game the week after he has a devastating ACL tear. This team believes in each other. They believe in their coach, and we haven't seen the ceiling yet. Do not for a second convince yourself that we've backed our way into the playoffs, because we haven't, and no team is going to want to face us. If I thought for a second that this was the last pregame video I was going to do for this version of the Broncos, I would be depressed, because since middle school, this is one of my favorite Broncos teams I have ever watched. And I'm not even a little bit worried, because the Denver Broncos are going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. We are built different, and watch out for us in the playoffs, and we're going to be there. And that's something we can all believe in. Ball don't lie.